At what point we go live, I think we've reached that point. Welcome to the Lovecraft eZine podcast, brought to you
And
by Benjamin Handelman.
then she said, if only you'd opened up the freezer, we both would have lived.
This is August the 18th, 2019, and big thank you to Ben because Google Hangouts died and he found a way to keep this show going. So yeah, thank you, Ben. Appreciate it. Um, Take a bow.
Oh, well, I'm just here to drink, let's be honest. So.
All right. Let's do introductions and then let's, now that I've thanked Ben, I'd like to just mention that Ben was going to go to a He-Man convention today.
What?
I don't know if you want this getting out, Ben. I mean, this is just...
Yeah, I was there all day yesterday. People should know. It's important.
It is.
For people of a certain age, that's about 30 years younger than everyone else here, He-Man was a big part of our lives.
Grew up with He-Man. Don't rob him of that. If there was a Space Ghost convention, I would go to it.
Whatever's going on the YouTube video is we're able to see the chat and maybe some bad words that I might have written. So.
Oh yeah, it's not centered anymore, Ben. Look at that.
If we could figure that shit out, that'd be great.
Where you said "fuck everyone here"?
I meant only the participants in the panel, not the audience.
Do we need to fix that, Ben, or is that just leave it for today?
There we go. Oh, thank Christ.
Hey, how the hell did I...
Ben, you're muted, so I don't know if you're... do we need to fix that? Yes or no?
You're good. You turn chat off. It's fine.
I did?
Yeah, it's fixed now.
Okay,
you clicked on something. I don't know what you did. But...
You know, there'll be people listening to this later who can't see us. Thank God. So let's do introductions. I'm Mike Davis, chief cook and bottle washer at Lovecraft eZine. Rick, why don't you go?
Rick Layrider.
Ben? You don't have to mute, Ben.
No, I was typing in the chat, video chat, because people wanted to talk about He-Man. Thank you very much. So
why?
Why? Because it's life
is hot.
Okay.
I'm Ben Handelman. I am here to be mocked by Kelly. That's it. That's the only reason I'm even on this show.
All right. Good. Pete.
Pete Rawlick. I am alternative transportation for college students going to Orlando.
Kelly.
I'm Kelly Young. I cosplayed as Fisto at Benjamin's He-Man convention. So, Fisto.
Have you been drinking at all?
No. What's terrible is I understand the reference.
Are you talking to me?
I understood that reference.
I'll tell you something obscure about He-Man. It was originally supposed to be a toy line based on Robert E. Howard.
Mm-hmm.
And Skeletor would have been so doom.
This is why he's on the show. Because he knows things like that.
The artist that did all those original designs, he was, I talked to him yesterday, Ruby something. And he said that they told him to copy Frank Frazetta for all the art. They're like, can you draw like this guy? And he's like, well, I can paint like anybody. It doesn't, just tell me who. And so they had him. That's if you look at the original box art. And I bought one of his prints. I can show it later. That's why it all looks like a Frazetta painting.
Wait a second. What artist was this?
Ruby.
Oh, okay. All right. Not King Kelly.
No.
Okay.
No. There's Ruby something.
Let's let Pete and Rick and everybody introduce themselves.
Yeah, they did that. We're just missing Matt now.
Quit drinking, Kelly.
That will never happen.
Wait a minute. We didn't get to... Did I skip Pete? I did skip Pete.
No,
I didn't. No, I didn't skip Pete.
Now I remember Pete.
I remember Pete. Okay, Matt.
Did we skip Rick?
I'm here for two reasons. First of all, I'm the representative at NecronomiCON this year, so if you're presenting cash gifts to the eZine, you can just hand them to me. Okay, the second thing is I have a prize, okay? This week's prize is a great hardcover Delta Green anthology called Extraordinary Renditions from 2015. These are really good stories in here. It's quite enjoyable. If you want to be considered for the prize, what you do is you put Delta Green in the headline, the subject of your email, and email eZine prizes, all one word, at gmail.com.
At Gmail, not at AOL, at Gmail.
No, but also, all one word is not part of the address. Just eZine prize. Okay, well, you got that.
eZine prizes at gmail.com. Okay, and then you do it like a week later, don't you?
Yes.
Randomly select the.
So it'll be sometime after the convention.
Okay. All right. So we covered He-Man, right? We can move on. I have a Patreon. We have a Patreon. It would be, if you enjoy the show, it'd be great if you gave me money to keep the show going. Actually, we have if at $5 a month, we've got Patreon podcasts that you can listen to. So, like, if you hate this show, you'll hate that too, and you can pay for that. And then it just goes up from there. Just Google Lovecraft eZine Patreon. It'll take you right to it. All right, I got a very nice email, and I'm going to answer these questions on air because I imagine that other people have these questions too. This is from a Nathan watcher / listener. Hi, Mike. Oh, he just became a patron, so he's cool. Thanks for the welcome note on your Patreon page. I've been either watching your podcast while in progress or after they've been posted to the YouTube page for a few months now. I keep a notepad next to me so that I can write down the book, movie, TV series, website recommendations. It's been very informative, so I felt the desire to help you out. Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate it. This is what I really liked from his email. I really look forward to the Sunday evenings now so that I can catch up on all the intel you and the gang have been gathering and reviewing from the various news media outlets. You guys really keep a finger on the pulse of what's going on. There, I'm assuming he's talking about Pete and Rick and Ben, not me or Kelly. But it's much more than just that. It feels like I'm in a pub where a group of blokes have gathered to discuss their favorite pastimes, and I'm within earshot, and to my delight find them discussing things that interest me, and even better, get invited over to listen in and share a little in the discussion. You guys are clearly friends. Yeah, we're friends, and I really enjoy that aspect of the podcast as well. I forgot about this line. The ball breaking among you guys makes me laugh quite a bit. And then he goes on to talk about the shared knowledge is amazing, talking about Rick and Pete. I think Matt got lumped in with Kelly somewhere. I won't read the whole email.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. Nathan and everybody watching and listening, I really appreciate that because that's what I've always been going for this show. Just very informal, and I feel like you're in a group of friends talking about it and about things that interest you. So I really appreciate that. He had a question near the end of the email. We didn't have a podcast last Sunday, for example. He writes, I should ask, is there a way of finding out if a podcast is not happening? There's been a couple of Sundays where I've been on YouTube waiting only to guess that there is no podcast. Yes, I do try to do it every single Sunday. Last Sunday I was really sick, for example, but we try not to skip any Sundays if we can help it. If you're on Facebook, you can search for Lovecraft eZine message board, and you can join that group there. I've not been good about, because I'll say if there's not going to be a podcast there. I've not been good about saying that on my Twitter page, but I will get better about that, because even if you're not on social media, you can check Twitter. So my Twitter handle is, being the people person that I am, is Misanthrope Mike. all together, one word. Um, anyway, all kidding aside, thanks for the email, Nathan. Really appreciate it. I'm glad you feel that way about the podcast because I think that's what all of us are going for, and I'm glad that's coming through. So, all right, what do we have to talk about? Let's talk about NecronomiCON first. So, Ben, you're going to be there, right?
I will be there. Yeah.
And Pete, are you going?
I am going.
We don't have a guest today, so you don't have to mute if you're not talking. Kelly, are you going? You're not going.
I cannot make it this year. No.
Okay. So it's Ben and Matt, right? Of all of us.
And Pete.
And Pete. Sorry, Pete. All right.
It doesn't count.
Nope.
For those who have never been, I don't think you've been, have you?
I have not been. I'm only going there because Kelly can't. So
Ben has not been. Okay.
No, if you put the two of them in the same room, there's an explosion. So.
Yeah.
How do you know we're not the same person?
Well, that's just it. You are. There's just one is the antimatter version of the
Right,
other.
antimatter type thing. Who wants to talk about what to expect and what maybe they wish they'd known their first Necronomicon? Things like that.
I've already been told that I'm being picked up at the airport, and there will be rum in my hand before I get out of the airport. So there will be drinking.
That's important.
It is, yes. It will be a struggle. Why am I just seeing Kelly and not seeing Kelly at all? Okay. I have a blank. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Oh, yeah, I just got Kelly's blank screen for like a minute.
Yeah, he turned off his camera.
Yeah.
I got
Really
Kelly's
want to
blank,
see?
I got Kelly's blank screen right now.
Yeah. Do you really want to see what Kelly's doing right now? Let's be honest here.
No.
All right, can we talk about Necronomicon?
Okay, so let me just say,
All right.
when you go, first of all, go with a good attitude. Don't go, go planning to enjoy yourself, and don't feel bad by following where your whim takes you. So you're not going to see everything. It's too big. Lots of things are going on simultaneously. And think about what might entertain you. So there are certain things that you don't get to see outside of the convention. For example, the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society is putting on their 2 new CD releases as live performances in the evenings. There's limited attendance. I mean, it's several hundred people, but not everybody can get into these shows. Okay, there are other live performances. There are author readings. There is the Eldritch Ball. I mean, if you go with a partner and you like to dance and dress up in costume, well, heck, this is always beautifully put on. The decorations, the music, seeing everybody they have no more than, say, 300 people can go to that. If you want to go to that, well, sign up. If you like academia, okay, go to the panels. But what if you like films? They're showing short subjects and feature-length films at a couple theaters nearby. There are a couple concerts going on. Heck, enjoy Lovecraft's Providence. There are walking tours. You can go with someone sideline. I went once with Cody Goodfellow, and Daryl Schweitzer was conducting the tour, and he forgot where he was going, but that's another story. You can go, and they will show you, for example, when you go up past the First Baptist Church, which features so prominently in Lovecraft's stories, you can go by the Fleur de Lis building, the Providence Art Club, mentioned in the Call of Cthulhu. Just up around the corner is the house that was the model for the Shunned House. A few blocks away is the mansion of Charles Dexter Ward. You can go to St. John's Burying Ground and sit there where Lovecraft once took a date and tried to scare her with ghost stories, where he liked to go and muse upon the travels of Edgar Allan Poe.
Wait a minute, that date, is that a real story?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the girl, but he went out and they sat in there, and he was telling her such scary stories that she ran away. And he viewed it as a very successful date. And you wonder why he doesn't have any children. But okay, anyway, the other thing is, don't feel bad. Suppose you meet some people, authors or just fellow fans, you're having a great time and you say, heck with this, let's go out and have a few drinks and have a long lunch. Do it. You know, you're there to have a good time, and there's more than anything, there are things you can do. And also, so you probably can get whatever books you want online, but you can't get them signed online. They have vendors' rooms, and someone like they're sculptors, and they bring their little bronze statues, and you can get some for your home. Joe Browers is going to be there. There's Nick the Hack Gucker. You can get one of his prints, and I'm sure he'd be happy to sign it for you. These are just go planning to have a great time.
Yeah. Yep. Because you're not going to catch everything.
And
Pete, what do you want to add to that?
what I want to add to that is that long lunch that you take with friends and maybe an author or two, that might be the highlight of your show. Because it's the impromptu things, the things that just happen spontaneously and accidentally, that you will probably remember the most. The structured things are fun, but they're structured. It's the spontaneous things that are often better. And that's where I have missed out on a great many convention events because lunch went from 30 minutes to 2.5 hours. We ran in for a quick lunch, and then when whole bunches of people sit down and say, can we join you, you're like, this is better than what I was going to go to. So
yeah, I'm not going to be able to make it this year, but I'll just second what Matt and Pete have just said. And I'm really thinking back to, I haven't missed a NecronomiCON since I started the Lovecraft eZine in 2011. So I'm thinking back to all those good times, and Niels Hobbs does such a wonderful job planning everything. It's very organized. It's just, he really does it right. Having said that, the best memories I have of Necronomicon are standing around talking to people, going to lunch with people. Those are the things that really stand out to me.
That dinner that we had at the Mexican restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
that was really good.
Yeah.
I would just say also, Joff's Superlative Sandwiches is up kitty corner up the street from the First Baptist Church. They make a great sandwich, and it's right by the Shunned House. So I'd go visit Joff's Sandwiches for lunch.
Go to Providence for the sandwiches. Stay for Necronomicon.
Yeah.
On top of that, Providence is such a magical town anyway. If you're just wandering around at night, you can feel the magic in the air. It is a really neat old place.
There are plenty of tickets left. So if you are within driving distance and want to go for a day, go for a day.
Speaking of wandering around at night, one time Vince LaRosa and me and someone else, I can't remember, we were walking around in Providence, and we come across these girls, and they're running around, and they're chasing a rabbit. And Vince helps them catch the rabbit. I don't even remember. I think it was a pet rabbit. But this is the sort of the magic that you can come upon in Providence. So
probably stopped the end of the world by doing that.
Probably.
There was something.
I think they were going to sacrifice the rabbit or something. I didn't get the full story.
Thanks, Vince.
Yeah, thank you, Vince, for saving the world again. Okay, anybody want to add anything else about Necronomicon before we move on?
One thing I'm going to say is that, if I'm there and you see me and you want to say hi,
think twice.
Don't do it.
Keep walking.
If you want to say hi, if you want to have a conversation, if you want to go get drinks, if you want to buy me drinks, if you want to buy me lunch, if you want to give me books. Somebody just texted me and said, oh, by the way, I have these books that you gave me 2 years ago. I'm going to give them back. I'm like, okay. Yeah. but yeah, whatever you want to do. If you feel comfortable, feel free to approach me. I'm having fun, and Matt and I are probably going to go visit the library together. Talk about getting rid of our books.
How much do you charge again for autographs, Pete? I can't remember.
Negative 50 cents.
Okay.
Okay, now the other thing is don't overpack because you need to leave room in your suitcase for things you're taking home.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
What if I spent all my extra money on He-Man action figures? Can you just give me free stuff, Matt?
I am happy to give you my regard and a few hellos and a big smile. Worth more than you can imagine.
I will give you whatever you want.
I made a clip of that, and I will be using it.
The H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival is in October. Isn't that right, Kelly? It's in October.
Yeah, October every year.
So that's coming up soon too. I may be there. I don't know yet if I'm gonna make that or not. But
Kelly, I'm gonna have to send you something.
I'm gonna try.
Are you not going to be there, Pete? You weren't there last year.
I was not there last year. What we're supposed to be doing is every NecronomiCON Portland.
That's my plan too, but Pete, this year
I
they're
know.
showing the Haunted Palace in 35 millimeter.
With Roger Corman. I
And
know.
the U.S. premiere of the Colorado.
only the fifth time I've heard this from you.
Roger Corman. I mean, come on. I would love to go. It's just, I actually have to do some work.
Last time I brought a box of shit for you to take home, and then I found out you weren't there.
I'm sorry. Yes. Well, the last time I was going to be there,
I know.
hurricanes happened.
I know.
And, the painful part of the hurricane was that
You'd already paid for your ticket.
I've already paid for my flight. The airline out of Fort Lauderdale said, yeah, we've canceled the flight. Here's your refund. The airline coming back said, what's the problem?
Right. No hurricane over here.
They're like, yeah, we'll give you a credit, but you have to use it within 6 months. And I'm like, I had no reason to go to Portland.
Could have hung out with me. I would hang
Yeah,
with
sure.
you.
Luckily, you're independently wealthy, Pete.
Yeah.
So, all right. That's NecronomiCon. H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival in October is also awesome. Ben, I'm sorry, your first NecronomiCon that I can't be there. I would love to be, but I just can't this year.
It's like a christening or a bris. You have to.
Wow.
I'll hold your hand.
Yeah.
Hey, Benjamin, any chance you'll drive up to Portland then in October?
No. And if I were to go to Portland, unfortunately, let's see, what weekend is that? There's also the Classic World Tetris Championship. And
I was going to say I'd love to have a drink with you, but you just killed that.
no, again, like if I could, but my
You guys
wife
could talk about Tetris, yeah.
only so many. Yeah. Hey, look, but if you want to see Tetris, there's a convention in Portland, and my best friend is the 7-time world champion, and his wife is the current Dr. Mario world champion. So you should go over there and check that out. They also
What are you
alcohol
talking about? I'm
inside.
not a Tetris champion.
Oh. Okay, and I'm just saying at that
His other
video game
best friend.
they have
his other
alcohol
best friend.
there,
Okay.
and they also drink a lot of whiskey, Kelly. So you'd
I
fit
just
right in.
want
Just
all of
slide
you
right
to know that you're all my best friend. So.
Yeah.
We are Borg.
Yeah. Okay. That's Necronomicon. Matt Carden's got a new book out, To
Yes.
Rouse Leviathan, and I posted about this, and what I said was that this is a collection, not a novel. I should point out for those who don't know. A lot of there have been many collections and or anthologies that have grabbed me from the first story. Okay, this grabbed me from the preface. I'm really enjoying this book. It's also available on Kindle, and actually available on Kindle Unlimited as well, so you could read it right after the show if you wanted to. So, anybody else reading this yet?
No,
Matthew?
but I got to comment on the art.
Yes.
The artist is Michael Hutter.
Yeah.
His paintings are wonderful.
Yes.
I'm going to post a link to a gallery on the page on Facebook. It's really, really fantastical art. And very
This has a real 70s aesthetic to it, and you know how much
yeah.
I love that, and I'm just like, oh, I need to own this book just because.
It
But
looks like
also,
Lynn
I've been
Carter.
hearing amazing reviews for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very good collection.
It's like Lynn Carter did the art, edited the artwork for it.
Yeah, it's so cool looking. It's so retro.
The adult Valentine adult fantasy line.
Absolutely.
Other books. Okay, Ellen Datlow was going to be on the show a couple of weeks ago. As we all know, Google Hangouts committed suicide, and Ben got us running again. I'll get Ellen Datlow rescheduled, but she was mainly going to talk about this book that she edited called Echoes. And I think I've already talked about it once, but this is a doorstop of a book. And the Saga Anthology of Ghost Stories. I like ghost stories a lot. Nathan Ballingrud, Alice Hoffman, Paul Tremblay, whoever that is, Joyce Carol Oates. So this is a thick book. You might want to check this out. Basically, if Ellen edits a book, it's usually going to be a very, very good anthology. So, another book that I wanted to talk about that's out. I'm sorry, not book, a series. I did not realize, I don't know how long this has been out. Maybe for a very long time and I just noticed it, or maybe it's new. I'll have to ask Jeff Thomas. But he's got this Jeffrey Thomas chapbook series, and I think there's like 5 in the series with around 3 short stories in each one. They're all available on Kindle Unlimited, or you can buy them on Kindle. And they're also available in print. And yeah, just go to Amazon, look up Jeff Thomas, maybe chapbook. I've got number 5 in front of me right now. Darker Worlds, a trio of nightmarish stories, and then in parentheses, the Jeffrey Thomas chapbook series 5. For example, number 1 is Nights in Punktown, a trio of dark science fiction stories. So, check those out.
Matt, are you putting that on the eZine chat? Because I feel the need to put these.
I am doing it now.
Yeah, I mean, the whole world should be reading Jeff Thomas, first of all.
Absolutely.
If you're not aware of him, this would be a great place to start with these chapbooks. Again, I don't know if I just became aware of this or if it's something new. I'll have to ask Jeff, but they're out there and they look pretty cool. So
I think these are new publications of works he had previously written.
okay, that sounds right. Gwendolyn Keast, gosh, Gwendolyn, I'm sorry if you're listening. I never can remember if I'm pronouncing your last name right, but it's Kiste. She's got a new book out called The Rust Maidens, also available in Kindle and hardcover and paperback. Just briefly, I don't know, Kelly, you might check this out. Something's happening to the girls on Denton Street. It's the summer of 1980 in Cleveland, Ohio, and Phoebe Shaw and her best friend Jacqueline have just graduated high school only to confront an ugly, uncertain future. I won't read the whole thing, but I love Gwendolyn's writing.
Yeah, me too. Gwendolyn Keist. We've had her on the show before.
Yeah, we have,
right?
about 2 years ago, yeah.
I fell in love with her after that episode, and I started reading her stuff after that, and I was like, this is my new favorite writer. She was so good.
Yeah. And she's...
Yeah, I'll get this.
Yeah, side note on Gwendolyn, she's also very, very into Halloween. And as I think everyone knows by now, I do a Halloween show every October with Jeff Thomas and Scott Thomas because those guys are really into Halloween like I am, and it's always a special show. And I asked Gwendolyn if she'd come on with us this Halloween, and she's going to do that. So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, she's a great writer and a really, really nice person. Besides,
I'm very much looking forward to grabbing that. I feel like I'm going to spend a lot of money this episode.
that's what I'm here for. Again, that's called The Rust Maidens by Gwendolyn Kiste, Kiste.
By the way, speaking of
Yes.
spending money, Peter, the reason I need you at HPLFF is because I have so many books of yours I need autographed that I'm like, oh, I mean, it's been like 3 years now.
I know.
So
I know.
make
know-
this happen, please.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me think of it.
Last but not least, S.P. Muskowski. Um, her book Knock Knock is either 99 cents or it looked free for the Kindle version for a week or so. She wrote 99 cents on Facebook, and then when I went to look, it said buy it for $0. So either way, it's a hell of a bargain. Again, S.P. Muskowski, and the name of the book is Knock Knock. So if you've never read S.P. Muskowski, there's a economical place and a good place to start right there. So
Man, that's such a cool little chapbook, too. I love that story.
yeah. All right. Anybody else got any books they want to mention while we're on the subject of books?
I mean, I've got something if nobody else does.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I picked up this cool little book by a guy that we have published in Strange Eons as an artist, and it is called, here, I'm showing it on the screen, Robert Phillips. The author is J.M. DeSantis. If you like, I'll say this, if you like Pete Rawlik, or you like guys who kind of play in the Lovecraft world, this actually feels a little more like Willem Pugmire's stuff. This feels very much like Lovecraftian pastiche. It's written really well. If you like this kind of stuff, you could do a lot worse than this book. Robert Phillips by J.M. DeSantis. It's got one of those really cool covers too now that is coming from, I think, the Amazon, whatever their print on demand is. It's got the kind of matte feel to it and everything. Geez, the stuff that you can do print on demand now is so sharp. It's not like the early days. It looks great.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did you say, is this a collection or is this a novel?
It's a I don't know what you would call it, a novella.
Novella, yeah. All right.
It's 110 pages. It's really cool. It feels like a Lovecraft story, and there's a lot of name dropping in here. There's some characters from other Lovecraft stories. So it's really cool. It's done in the style of, say, Whisper in Darkness, or what's the other one I'm thinking of that has just a lot of letters going back and forth?
Dracula?
No,
Yeah.
Dracula,
Oh,
that too, but Lovecraftian. So yes, thank you, Rick. So it's pretty dang good.
All right. Hey, speaking of Dracula, there is, if you're an Audible.com member, there is a version of Dracula on there that is so well done. It's a straight up reading of the book, but it's different actors for each letter, for each character.
Oh.
It is done really, really well. I came upon this accidentally because a couple of years ago, I think I saw Dracula. It was a nice version on Kindle for like, I don't know what it was, 99 cents or something, and I bought it. And then I see this. Since you've got the Kindle version, you can have the Audible version for free, or it was something like that. So I downloaded the Audible version, and I was like, wow, this is a hell of a reading of Dracula. So yeah, check that out. If you've not read Dracula in a while, this is it's a great listen.
Do you
that
have?
is a great one. I was just going to say another great one. It's not on Audible, but if you Google Christopher Lee reads Dracula, It's an abridged version. It's about 2.5 hours, but that's quite fun to listen to if you're a fan of the old Hammer movies.
So Kelly brought up Willem.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to be able to purchase a few of Willem's books from his library. And I got a copy of Adam Niswinder's Nemesis of Night.
Yeah.
With Willem's bookplate in it.
Nice.
But what really struck me was in the back, all the way in the back, I opened it up, and there's this.
Oh, that's nice.
Holy shit.
Post-it note.
Yeah, describe that for those who are listening later, Pete.
If you're not listening, if you can't see this, it's a post-it note. It's a custom post-it note from Arkham House Publishers. I actually have some of these where when they've sent me stuff, they've put little notes on them. It's just like any post-it note that any business would have, but Willem has used it as a bookplate and inscribed his name on it. And I think that's a bit more of a treasure than anything else.
I just have to mention that what happened was, when Willem died, he named S.T. Joshi as executor of his literary estate. And S.T. Joshi went through Willem's library and put most of the volumes up for sale. There was basically, anyone could go and buy them. I got a few myself. I got Klinger's Annotated Dracula that was owned by Willem.
He was going to be on the show today, but he had to reschedule. He had his grandchildren come in. So Leslie Klinger is actually going to be on soon.
Not Dracula.
Not Dracula, Klinger. Okay. Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, the thing is that money...
But thank you for clarifying that.
Okay. The money that was raised from the sale is being donated to the Hale Library to purchase new manuscripts, original Lovecraft manuscripts and letters for their collection.
I was going to ask where the proceeds are going, and I was wondering if the same was true of this. Derek with Hippocampus sent me an imp of Ether. Is that how you would say that?
Yeah.
Ether. W.H. Pugmire. It's
we did away with the diphthongs in the English language.
Yeah.
The English kept them. Because whenever I saw it, like when I was reading in medical text, I'd say hemoglobin instead of hemoglobin, amoeba instead of amoeba. Anyway, I think actually that book, if I understand it, is they just wanted to get some of his tales out available to people who want to read them, who didn't have the wherewithal to find these books that are on the secondary market, because a lot of his things got printed in limited edition hardcovers, or they were printed in the 70s and only a few copies, and they're very hard to get a hold of.
Well, I didn't know that was the intent behind this, and that's really good to know.
But I don't know. I can't. You'd have to ask Derek about the proceeds. But I think if there's any profit to the author, I believe it would go to his sister.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's out as well. Looks like S.T. Joshi selected the stories for that. I guess at odd moments, I find it hard to believe that Willem's gone. I keep thinking, like at odd moments, I'll be like, I haven't sent him an email in a few weeks or months or whatever, and then I realize that he's not there to receive an email. Anyway, he's missed. I know you guys all miss him too. So, any other books we want to talk about before we move on?
I want to plug in.
If you're interested, the book Frozen Hell by John W. Campbell was released by Wildside Press. And this is interesting. It was the original longer manuscript for Who Goes There, the story that was published in 1938 and became The Thing.
Yeah.
It was originally a novella with like 25% longer than it was published. And this is your chance to see the original manuscript. I don't know that it works any better as a work of fiction. They probably made good choices with their cuts. But it is available from Wildside Press. And the art, which is lovely, is by Bob Eggleton.
Man, that is spectacular. I feel like I got the better deal. You obviously spent a little more, got that amazing leather bound, but then the leather bound comes with that very blank cover, and the regular version comes with this lovely slip cover.
That makes you plebes happy that you have a book.
I get it, but I was a little disappointed. I wanted, the art in this is spectacular, and I wanted that leather bound version. I gotta admit, I feel okay that I didn't buy the higher grade.
Keep telling yourself it's fine.
Okay. All right.
Rick, what did you want to plug?
The H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society has a new dark adventure radio drama, The Lurking Fear.
Oh,
okay. It is very well done. They're packaging them differently now. What they used to do was you would get all the phony newspaper articles and all the strange documents inside the DVD cover. But that was very cramped and it's difficult to close. They now give you like a slipcase which has the CD and the documents separate.
Okay. Strange Eons Radio's Facebook page posted something last week about, and talk about this, Kelly, since you're the one who posted it, I assume.
Uh-oh.
Amazon is developing an Event Horizon series adaptation.
I did not post this, but what do you guys think about that? Did you see that article at all?
If it's good, then I like it. If it's not good, I won't like it.
I mean,
That's deep, isn't it?
That's kind of how I feel too.
I love the concept for Event Horizon. I mean, it's sort of, I don't know, it's based on like the Doom video game, basically, right? You use a teleporter machine and it takes you to hell. I don't know. It's hard for me to get excited about some of these projects until they actually hit.
Well, I think that's the key, because with things like this, you'll be like, "Oh, it's stupid that they're doing this. It'll never surpass the movie." Hey, it's not a either or situation. It might be good, it might not be good. You just have to wait and see.
Thank you, Matthew. Yes, that movie. I love that movie, but it's awful. It's not a great movie.
I was going to say, I love the concept.
Exactly.
The execution, there are things that were awesome, and then there are parts where I'm like, what are you doing here? Why?
The awesome part was turning the TV off after.
It's a mess of a movie, but it's still so interesting to watch because you can tell there's some really cool stuff there. And there was an episode of. Do you mind if I plug a different podcast, Mike?
Whatever. Yeah, I mean, fine.
Whatever. If you're into this kind of thing, there's a podcast called Best Movies Never Made.
No, of course I don't mind. No, seriously, I don't mind. Maybe they'll plug our podcast someday.
Right. They talk about what became Event Horizon, and actually they were talking about the movie that became Supernova, which was really a shit movie.
But it was James Spader's first tough guy role.
Exactly. And this guy who wrote the movie, he wrote this really cool, dark, very gruesome movie. It got turned into Supernova, and it, between that time of him writing it and him being made, it was 10 years. And it passed through everybody in Hollywood's hands, and everybody who read it and loved it took whatever they liked about it and made it into their own movies. And so when Supernova came out, it was completely different than what the guy who wrote it had planned. And a lot of it was what ended up in the movie Event Horizon.
I always see Lovecraftians talk about Event Horizon and how much they love it. I don't think it's a bad movie, but I watched it once and I'll probably never watch it again.
I'd rather watch Solaris, frankly.
I'm always interested that Lovecraftians love it. It feels more Hellraiser-ish to me.
Yes.
Than
I mean,
Wasn't
Lovecraft.
there body horror in this too?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's
That's
got a
why.
very Judeo-Christian feel to it. It's not a
I mean,
Lovecraftian feel
when
at
I
all.
compared it to Doom, I mean, it's basically not that Doom has much of a plot, and I'm talking the original video game, not the film, but the original video game plot was this evil corporation that's based on the Weyland-Yutani Corporation from Aliens builds a teleporter and it opens a gateway to hell.
Yeah.
That's not. I mean, the plot for Event Horizon is they have a ship and it can create a gateway and they travel through the gateway and that gateway takes them through hell, so everyone goes insane and kills themselves.
But isn't that a basic plot point of the Warhammer universe?
No, that's a stretch. We could spend like 7 hours trying to explain the Warhammer 40 plot, and we
Good,
should.
but we won't. Let's be
Okay.
clear.
Nerds.
And we should, yeah.
Well, wait. Okay, so on that note, I believe that there is a full-blown panel at Necronomicon on the Warhammer universe.
Which I mean, so the Warhammer universe is much more Michael Moorcock than it is H.P. Lovecraft.
Agreed.
And any connections to Lovecraft are merely because Cthulhu stuff started getting popular in the late, was it mid to late 80s? Like, Call of Cthulhu was becoming bigger at one point, and then, when all the plushies showed up in the 90s, for example, stuff like that. But they didn't, it very much, their idea of chaos is not like a nameless dark god that, we're insignificant, blah, blah, blah. Like, their idea of chaos is very much like the evil gods and that kind of thing. Like, as I said, like Moorcock, it's not really Lovecraftian.
No, I guess I think Solaris was a much more Lovecraftian kind of movie. I don't know.
Dennis the Lem is turning in his grave.
I'm more of a fan of. Did you guys see the movie Sunshine?
I did, yeah.
Chris Evans and Cillian Murphy and
The one that was based on the John Denver song.
Chris Evans was in that?
Sunshine.
Yeah,
on my shoulder.
Chris Evans was in that. He was
been a while.
Happy. That was Danny Boyle, wasn't it? Directed?
Yeah, it was Danny Boyle.
Yeah, that's a great movie until the last act.
I loved it.
It turns into a slasher film after that.
It
but
does.
yeah.
It does. But the whole concept behind it and how, I mean, I don't. Everyone go see the movie except Matt. Matt probably hates it because he hates everything. But it was the first one of the first Blu-rays I ever had because it was.
I don't hate the movie Strictly Ballroom. Okay.
I love Strictly Ballroom.
I watched
Nobody
Sunshine,
hates
but
that movie.
Thinking back on it, I can't. All I remember about the plot is that they're trying to fix the sun. That's about it.
So they've got basically a nuclear payload, and it's like, I don't know, however many years to get to the sun. They throw the payload in, they whip around the sun, come back to Earth. That's the plan.
I thought the plan was that they weren't coming back to Earth.
No, the original plan is they were going to be able to come back.
Ah.
But there was another attempt years earlier that just stopped moving, and they lost all contact. Well, they get close to it, and they decide to check it out because they thought, well, if we have two payloads, it gives us like an opportunity that we can, if we screw it up the first time. And that's sort of where the movie sort of hinges on, and I recommend watching it. It's a fairly cheap Blu-ray because it was back when Blu-rays first came out. Sony did this deal where you could get 5 movies from them for free if you bought a Blu-ray player. So everyone that had a PlayStation 3 or a Blu-ray player back then got like that and Underworld and I don't remember. Blazing Saddles was one of them. So you can get those Blu-rays for like $2.
I can't remember Sunshine wowing me, but
it's a lot of. It looks amazing, and I had a lot of fun watching it. I thought the actors did a great job. It's not the kind of movie where you're blown away and you watch it 3 times and everything. It's a fun kind of. It does turn into a slasher flick at the end, but I like the idea and I like the way they portrayed a lot of the characters and the way they did things.
Pete can tell us if Blazing Saddles is Lovecraftian or not.
I'll bet he could.
Mongo sounds like
He's thinking now.
How can we tie this in?
He's gonna spin it. God damn it!
I don't think I can spin that movie.
All right. I may have to renew my DC Universe subscription because I saw the trailer for Titans season 2.
Oh my God! Right?
Yeah.
How cool was that?
Holy fuck. Wow, this is what every to hell with the Flash and Arrow. This is where it's at, man.
I was mightily impressed, and I was just like, "Whoa, what is going on? Oh my God, this looks amazing!"
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit then? Now that I know I've missed a couple of episodes, and you guys have been talking about it, but I've got Ben and Mike here right now. What is the deal? Swamp Thing comes out, and before the second episode is released, they cancel it. What kind of company doesn't wait to see what the reaction to their series is going to be until they cancel it?
I understand nothing about this whatsoever.
I don't know what's going on. Benjamin, I know you had a problem, or you didn't have a problem with the last couple episodes.
The very last episode was not our last episode. That's my only problem with it.
Yeah.
The last episode was very much... You could tell that they filmed 9/10 of that episode, and then they were told, hey, this is it. You have 2 minutes of footage to wrap this up.
Yeah, it was not great, but I'm trying to figure out what company doesn't kind of say, when they know things are going south, doesn't wait to see what the reaction to the series is going to be before they cancel it. Because
I thought the reason was that
series.
I thought the reason was that DC Universe was going to go south, and then I see the trailer for Titan seasons 2. I'm like, oh, okay, they're sticking around, and how?
I thought it was the expense of each episode.
Yeah, so Swamp Thing is way more expensive than Titans and Doom Patrol combined. I mean, it's a very expensive show, and I mean, I think it was never going to succeed at how much it cost. They needed Netflix to pick it up, and Netflix. I don't know if Netflix didn't, or Netflix wouldn't pay that much, or whatever it is. But that's how a lot of these streaming services fund themselves. CBS. The only reason CBS is still going is because Discovery Season 1 was outside of America. It was played on Netflix, and Netflix paid a fortune for it. And then it was a hit because everyone watched on Netflix except in the States. And that was what allowed CBS to keep going forward with that service.
Well, that and CBS All Access, right?
Well, but that's what kept CBS All Access afloat, was that Netflix deal.
Oh, okay.
Netflix is basically funding some of their competitors in the States because international, they're killing it. And they, as far as I know, they did the same thing with Titans. If you were outside of the United States, the only way to watch Titans was on Netflix.
Yeah.
And maybe Doom Patrol, I can't remember with Doom Patrol, but I know for a fact that was the case with Titans. And I think they were hoping the same thing would happen with Swamp Thing. I don't know what the case was, but I don't think DC Universe itself as a service will go away. I think the video content is going to end up getting rolled into the Warner archive or whatever they're going to call it. Because Warner Brothers has like 3 streaming services right now, between the Criterion Collection one, they've got HBO, and they're going to roll it all into HBO Go at some point. That was the plan I heard not that long ago. And I don't know if that means DC Universe is just going to be comics only at that point. Because the comics only side is pretty cheap to maintain and pretty competitive with the Marvel one that's been going for 10 years. So I don't know.
It's moving so quickly that you can't quite track what's going on with DC Universe.
Yeah.
And you can't track what's going on with anything. I mean, there used to be, like 2 years ago, this plan, I think everybody knows that I've been working on a film. We were looking at various distributors. There was possibility of Netflix distribution and all that stuff. And that stuff 2 years ago was a definite possibility. And now it is no longer a possibility. I'm talking to Hollywood distributors and I'm saying, what about a Netflix kind of distribution deal? And they were like, Netflix doesn't want to buy your shitty film. Netflix is making their own shitty films now. And they don't have to go to film festivals and buy films to distribute. They're financing their own little films. They've become a studio. Netflix is the new 20th Century Fox.
That said, they are heavily in debt, and they're nowhere near the good position that Amazon Prime, for example, is in.
Right. More appropriately, Netflix is more like New Line Cinema, not 20th Century Fox. So they'll be grabbed by somebody. And, the word that I'm hearing is that Apple, who doesn't have a fantastic streaming service, will probably pick up Netflix in the next year or so.
And in the case of Swamp Thing, if you look at a show like that, Netflix may have looked at it and said, we're spending so much money on this other stuff right now, we're going to pass, and that was the end of the show right there.
Yeah. So, okay, but look. Years ago, there was this one year where every single major network had a sci-fi show. Brand new. There was one with the guy that was in Game of Thrones. Where they were investigating these patterns that were forming. It was fractal patterns that just kept appearing. And then there was surfacing. And then, every channel had a sci-fi show. And not one of those shows survived the year. And they're useless because they wrapped up, they thought they were going to get picked up. They didn't. So the story arc doesn't even finish. There's no end to the story. There's no even plot development. That filming is useless to the studio because nobody wants it. It didn't go anywhere.
I'm still aggravated by the ending for Alphas.
Of what?
Alf.
No, not Alpha.
No. He said Alf. I heard Alf too.
I said Alphas.
No. Like, by the way, Alf's on Netflix or is it Amazon Prime? One of the two. It's the most Lovecraftian sitcom there is, I'm sure.
Oh, you guys are not friends.
Absolutely.
Okay. My point here in this diatribe, in this rant,
and he does have one.
I do have one, is that it behooves a studio to, even if you're going to cancel it after one season, to produce a quality arc that can then be picked up and watched.
I have a question.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong, but did you use the word behoove?
Yes. Did I?
It behoovens the studio.
Yes.
It behoovers. That studio behoovered. Shit, I'm not sure how to use the word.
How many times
have you been drinking?
I have. This Pete Rog brought to you by Lining Kugel's Summer Candy.
All right, so I am very much looking forward to Titans season 2. So that's the way that's how a superhero series should be. Okay, now that said,
I don't mean to interrupt, but do you remember the Titans season 1 trailer and how terrible it was?
Yeah.
I just wanted to. That just
so worried.
I didn't think it was terrible. I just said that the fuck Batman thing was stupid.
That was the whole point of the trailer. That's all anyone remembers from that trailer. That one line.
After that,
about Titans.
I remember Robin fighting. I thought it was a great trailer, actually.
After that first season, I was like, "Fuck Batman."
Speaking of Batman, what do you think of the Kevin Conroy news?
I think it's the greatest news we've had in 20 years.
It's almost the greatest news we've had in 20 years. Because I was about to segue into this too. I don't watch The Flash or Arrow anymore. I don't know if any of us watches them anymore, except for the once a year, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, Crisis on Infinite Earths is coming. Yes, the Kevin Conroy thing is important. More important is the Brandon Routh Kingdom Come Superman.
Wait a second. I have missed the Kevin Conroy announcement.
He's playing Bruce Wayne.
A Bruce Wayne. We don't know which Bruce Wayne. We don't know if he's going to dress as Batman at some point.
I heard there was going to be 3 different versions of the Justice League, too.
Yeah, on the Crisis of Infinite Earths crossover for Flash, Arrow, Legends, blah, blah, blah.
I'm 100% about this. The first time I saw a picture of him when he was voicing the animated series, I was like, oh, that guy looks like Bruce Wayne.
It's been a long time coming, I think, and people, I mean, Warner Brothers kept trying to retire him. I can't count how many times they're like, "Oh no,
I know,
Jason
it's
Mara's our new
stupid.
Batman." They're like, "Oh,
I wonder if he's going to play the Dark Knight Returns Batman. That would be cool.
Well, I heard the Batman Beyond was.
Yeah, Batman Beyond with Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, that could be.
look, hey, if they want to make a live action series out of Batman Beyond, gosh, that could be." I'm getting my hopes up. Stop. That's too good.
If you really want to bore all of your listeners, I watched the Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, and I thought it was maybe the best of all of the DC animated movies.
You're high.
What?
I loved it. I thought it was so good.
Better than Mask and the Phantasm?
Oh, come on now. That was Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy did the voice for half of the DC animated. I mean, Justice League Doom and Crisis on 2. No, that was a different person. There's too many of these.
Did I hear a rumor that Mark Hamill's going to play the Joker live action, or was that just a fan?
That's one of the. Yeah, that's a fan rumor. He did play. What was it? The Trickster. But yeah, that's the problem with this, because this crossover is so big. There's all these news sites that are like, "Oh no, it's been announced that Helen Slater's going to reprise her role as Supergirl and this and that." None of this is true.
I don't really take any of it seriously, except the fact that this is going to be huge, and I'm really looking forward to it. And
it is. But all we have confirmed right now we have confirmed the Black Lightning is going to appear in it. It was confirmed that Brandon Routh will play a Superman that will wear a Kingdom Come costume.
Well, wait, you said that, and then I started thinking about it, and so the Kingdom Come costume is not the costume I saw, which was just a basic old, like almost a Fleischer Studios Superman from the 30s.
The Kingdom Come costume is very similar, if I remember, to the regular costume, but there's black in the S symbol, behind the S symbol, instead of...
Yeah, it's got a very stylized S logo, but I think the Kingdom Come... I think the Crisis Superman is just going to be an older Superman, like a Silver Age Superman, not necessarily Kingdom Come Superman.
I don't care. All I care about is that Brandon Routh is playing a version of Superman, because I thought, whatever you think of the Superman Returns movie, I thought he made a great Superman.
I thought it was shit, but I did think he was a great Superman.
Yeah, I mean, forget about the plot, whether you like Superman Returns or not. He was a great Superman.
Yeah.
And Kevin Conroy actually did an interview with, I think it was a Hollywood Reporter. I don't remember who it was, but it was like, it came out of nowhere. It was just, oh yeah, finally after 25 years, I get to play Bruce Wayne. They never say he's playing Batman. They always phrase it as he's playing Bruce Wayne. I don't know if that's like a big deal, if he's just going to show up as Bruce Wayne, if it's going to be like a Batman Beyond thing. I don't know if they're saving that for like some big reveal where all of a sudden he's going to show up in a batsuit, whatever it is. All I know is he should have done this like 20 years ago. So
yeah, it could also be that a stuntman is playing Bruce Wayne or is playing Batman.
Yeah, that could be too. And
what's the name of the guy, the artist, the Kingdom Come artist? Alex Ross, is that right?
Alex Ross. Yeah.
He did a. He's excited about the Brandon Routh thing, and he did a possible rendition of Brandon Routh as the Kingdom Come Superman.
Well, if you go look at the actual Kingdom Come, which no, I don't have it right here. If you go look at the art in Kingdom Come, he based Batman in that on the names escape me. The '60s Batman.
Adam West.
Adam West, thank you. And he based Superman on Christopher Reeve. I mean, he doesn't look exactly like him, but those were his models.
Right.
For drawing that book. So he's the guy that like 2 years into Smallville, he was drawing Tom Welling as Superman.
Yeah, he loves this stuff. And interestingly, I forget the name of the old man who's driving the story in Kingdom Come, but that was his father. He based the art on his father.
I don't remember his name. I think he's like a Methodist preacher or something, and then the Spectre shows up. Am I remembering this correctly?
Yes. Yeah. I will tell you one thing. If you've only read the Kingdom Come comic, you're missing out. Because I know this is blasphemy, but the novel is better than the comic. It adds so much to it.
Elliot S. Maggin, who is a
That guy is awesome.
yes, he wrote. We talked about this before. He wrote a couple of Superman.
He wrote the Silver Age, greatest novel ever of the Silver Age Superman, which came out the same time as Superman the movie.
Yep, because Mario Puzo's contract would not allow them to do a novel adaptation of Superman the movie or Superman 2.
Which is a blessing in disguise because we got this great novel from Elliot S. Maggin. What was the name of that again? I can't remember.
There is a Superman 3 novelization. If you really...
I read that when I was a kid, and even as a kid, I thought it was horrible.
What? It's got Richard Pryor on the cover. How could you dislike it?
You just named why I dislike it. Come on. Richard Pryor, that no, come
Look,
on.
he came up with a brilliant scheme to rob the bank of money. The what do they call it? The penny shaving or whatever it was. It's ingenious. It inspired Office Space.
Yes, yeah.
So really, we have Superman 3 and Richard Pryor to thank for one of the greatest comedies of the 90s.
Office Space is a great movie. All right, so I think we've beaten this DC horse thing into the ground. It starts in December, and what I don't like is that it goes over the break. So there's going to be I'm going to wait until, if I can possibly make myself, I'm going to wait and not buy any of them on instant until January, where I can binge them all at once. So
it's going to be tough because there's like a 3-week gap in between, and to be honest, if Kevin Conroy shows up in episode 1 or 2, I'm not going to be able to wait.
Yeah. Kelly, you want to give us your thoughts on the Color Out of Space movie with Richard Stanley and Nick Cage?
Oh boy. Okay, so I have complicated thoughts about this. Here's my complicated thoughts.
I have thoughts.
I loved the movie Mandy so much, and I do love Nicolas Cage, not in an ironic way. I just love him as an actor. I think that he is a spectacular actor, and the only times we've had problems with his acting is when maybe a director is not strong enough to kind of steer him in the correct direction.
He reminds me very much of William Shatner in that way. Where William Shatner can be amazing, like in The Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
William Shatner can be just William Shatner, like he is in everything after Star Trek.
Yeah.
But then you got Boston Public, I think was the name of it?
Boston Legal is a great show.
Boston Legal, where he wins like an Emmy.
Yeah, so, I will not put up with anyone, Mr. Young, on this show who disses Boston Legal.
But my point is, if William Shatner is with a director he can push over, you're not getting a very good William Shatner. But if he was that's still my favorite Twilight Zone episode, and again, he won an Emmy.
Yeah, that's a great.
So he's who I think of with Nicolas Cage. I mean, you've got, he won an Oscar or something, right? In one of those romantic films. I loved.
No. It was Leaving Las Vegas. That wasn't romantic at all.
Yeah, whatever. It was something I wouldn't watch as a kid. That's all I remember. Con Air.
Did you guys?
He pointed about it was a guy who killed himself with alcohol.
Did you guys like Face Off? Him and Travolta.
Look, me as a teenager saw Face Off in the theaters 4 times.
You were a teenager when Face Off came out?
Yeah, I was a teenager, and that was amazing. And we would quote the lines at each other. And he was actually he was really good in that role. I also as an older person liked him in was it The Family Man? It was a reverse.
Yeah,
I saw that movie.
Yeah, it was actually he was he's a billionaire or whatever, and Don Cheadle gives him this chance to sort of go back, and he marries the love of his life, and he has a family. And then he's not a billionaire, but he doesn't know what's happening. It's sort of what's the Jimmy Stewart movie? It's a Good Life or whatever.
That's funny because that is exactly.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah,
It's a Wonderful Life.
That is exactly what happened to me, Ben. I used to be a billionaire, but I wasn't happy. I went back in time. I married Danielle. Yeah.
This movie, it's a romantic comedy type thing. He's married to Taya Leone, and I think Jeremy Piven or somebody's in it. It's just kind of a fun, he does a really good job in it. If you watch it, you can see him really work. I don't know. Like,
Can we get back to the color out of space?
So many of his movies are so dreadful. I mean, come on.
He's also in Ghost Rider. He was also in Ghost Rider.
Anyway,
He's
Benjamin.
in everything.
Benjamin, he asked me how I felt about this. So.
Yes.
Well, can you tell us how you felt about Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance first?
It was awful.
Let me tell you how you feel
Ghost
about.
Rider looked super cool. The actual character.
All right. How do you feel about the color out of space? Having not seen it yet, obviously.
I'm super interested in seeing it. And this is based on the fact that I love Nicolas Cage as an actor who is amazing when he's got an amazing director. That being said, I think that Richard Stanley has done some really neat movies and then some movies that absolutely did not work for me. And I don't think he is a strong enough director to corral Nicolas Cage. So this will be something that I'm super interested in seeing what happens.
Didn't Elijah Wood fund this thing?
Yes. Yeah, and that's just it. Elijah Wood, that guy is super into horror films. He also funded A Girl Walks Home Alone, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which was an Iranian vampire movie that was super cool. And God, he funded Mandy. He was in Maniac.
He funded Mandy?
He funded Mandy. Yeah, his production company is all about who can we find who is making movies that most people don't want to see.
Do you want to know why Elijah Wood is so cool, Kelly?
Yes.
He's from
100%.
He's from Iowa.
Like
I mean, I'm sure there's other reasons too.
I mean, now he seems like 10% less cool, to be honest.
Ouch.
I mean, who do we know else who's cool from Iowa? Nobody, I think.
James Kirk.
Nobody.
Not one person, I think. Mike, you tell me, who else is cool from Iowa? Nobody.
Don't.
Kirk.
No.
Not one person.
No. Okay.
Where are you from, Mike?
I take your point on that, Kelly. Thank you.
Where are you from, Mike?
Thank you.
I'm curious.
The United States.
Currently lives in
America. I'm from the USA. Yes.
Huh. All right.
I remember when Richard Stanley was first talking about this movie, and it's been years ago. He said something to the effect of what the color out of space needs is more latex monsters. And
he obviously didn't see the Boris Karloff version.
I lost, I don't know. I don't think the color out of space needs latex monsters, but that's just me.
Here's what I'll tell you. Having met Richard Stanley a couple of times now.
Yeah, me too.
He is legitimately insane. And I kind of love him for that. And I don't know if when he said that to you, he was just fucking around.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that to me. He said that he was quoted in an interview.
Yeah, he's insane, and I don't know that I believe anything he says to anybody who's interviewing.
When he was talking to me, I said something like, I need to get a Coke. I'll see you later.
He wears that hat, right?
Yes, he does.
That's every night that's soaked in ketamine, right?
He talked to me. I met him twice. Once at the Lovecraft Film Festival in Portland. Once at the Lovecraft Film Festival in California. I can't remember the town. Both times he spoke to me with a puppet on his hand, and the puppet spoke to me. And I thought,
so he's a Batman villain? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I thought, wow, I thought this guy was just kind of fucking around, but now I realize he's legitimately crazy. And that made me love him a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's something about that kind of weird genius that I don't get and I appreciate.
That's
Kelly,
true. Yeah.
I have one question for you. Is he a man or is he a Muppet?
Now, I love this song. So, do I need to burst out into song to explain it to you?
Are you talking about Brick House at the beginning of Muppets from Space? Okay, so I'm not here to badmouth Richard Stanley. He may make some sort of version of A Color Out of Space that has nothing to do with the story, but is still a good movie. Who knows?
Here's what's going to happen. We're going to sit here and we're going to laugh and we're going to laugh and we're going to laugh and we're going to watch this thing, and it's going to be the greatest Lovecraftian adaptation ever made.
I'm not sure that that's not the case. I actually literally think he is genius of the level that we just don't get, like Tesla genius, and he might come out with the most amazing film you've ever seen. I like most of his movies. I love one of his movies. So exactly.
You want to bet $1 on this? Because I'll take that bet.
No, because here's the problem: is that so let's talk about the films that we love now that were commercial and cinematic flops and the critics hated. Alien, The Thing, right?
Blade Runner,
Office Space,
sure. I don't know, but I know those three big ones, right?
Yeah, the problem is, I think this is two genius people, Stanley and Nicolas Cage, but the problem may be that they're different kinds of genius, and when that happens, you might end up with some bad shit. But
I don't remember Alien getting bad reviews.
Alien made a fortune in the box office, I thought.
But it got a lot of bad reviews, and it was because it came out after Star Wars, and everybody was just like, "Boy," because
it's not hopeful.
Who was putting out Alien? 20th Century Fox was
Fox property.
It was that okay? So they were pushing it as their next big sci-fi project, and everybody was like, "This is the next Star Wars," and as you remember, we went to the theater and we were like, "Uh-oh, this is not Star Wars at all."
So you think that if Nick Cage's genius and Richard Stanley's genius, they don't mesh, it'll be what was the technical term you used? Fucked up or something? you filmmakers and your technical phrases.
This is my hope that those two guys are two great tastes that taste great together. I don't know that I believe that is the case.
Like vanilla Coke.
Popped into my mind when Kelly talked about tasting two different men at the same time.
Oh my God!
I have some holy water here, and I'm just going to go ahead and use some of this right now to try to cleanse my mind. This is
pour it over your head.
Here's the thing: I don't know who's crazier between the two of them, between Nick Cage and Richard Stanley, and I want Richard Stanley to be the most aggressively crazy so that he can rein Nick Cage to be what he needs him to be in his film. The more I talk about it, the higher hopes I have for it now.
But Kelly, they worked together on Mandy.
Not Richard Stanley.
Oh yeah.
When is the Color Out of Space? When is that coming out?
I don't know, but it's
in Toronto.
Yes.
I mean, it's not a wide release, obviously.
No, it's a film festival release. I think before the Lovecraft Film Festival, its world premiere is in a Toronto film festival. So that's coming up within a month or two.
Yeah, and
U.S. premiere the first weekend of October at the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival.
And then let me just say this, Strange Eons Radio in talks right now to do an interview with Richard Stanley at the Lovecraft Film Festival.
But not Nicolas Cage.
So if you want to
think Nick is going to show up for that.
What's he doing, Kelly? Sold all his comic books. He's just,
what I heard was that he was in debt, and that's why he's in every single movie ever made.
He was in a Left Behind movie, okay?
Yeah.
His career bottomed out. You think going on Strange Eons Radio is lower than being in a Left Behind film?
Here's the thing. How dare you, first of all. I love talking this shit with Benjamin because he's been peripherally in the industry as much as I have, so we can throw this kind of insults at each other.
You have as much chance of seeing this film as you have of Jodorowsky making a Dune film.
I know, that's
I don't think that's fair. I can insult you too.
Good point. Benjamin, get back to what you insulted me with, because I have a comeback for it.
That Nicolas Cage was, sunk low enough to be in a Left Behind film.
Right?
So, like, being on Strange Eons Radio has to be, like, somewhere around that level.
No.
A little bit better, maybe?
No, lower. But
I'd say higher.
The thing that we don't, not we, but most people, you look at Nicolas Cage doing these movies, but what you haven't looked at is that Nicolas Cage and remind me the actor who was in High Fidelity and Better Off Dead and
John Cusack.
John Cusack.
He's bottomed out, boy.
They have a company together.
Well, that explains a lot.
That company buys scripts and makes scripts that are direct to video, or they were. Now they're direct to streaming. They sell those things for $400,000 overseas. That pays for their involvement in the film, and then they release them on Netflix over here, and whatever that is all profit for them. And that's why you see them in 12 movies a year. It's just because they're making these movies to pay the rent, and every once in a while one of those movies pays off and does well, like Cusack did that Edgar Allan Poe movie.
Oh, yeah.
which
I
was
thought that was
really
awesome.
fun. Oh, you did? I loved it.
I was like,
John Cusack and Nicolas Cage were in this dreadful movie called Frozen Ground or something that I thought was the worst movie that either one of them had ever been in.
And that's because they have a company together.
Jesus.
They just make these movies, and they're making 10 movies a year.
All right, let's move on. The Terror season 2,
which is not The Terror, but it's something completely different.
Yeah, I mean it's a stretch, but it looks good. I mean it looks really interesting. Japanese supernatural, stuff, and it's set in World War II, so we all know what happened then with the Japanese Americans. Anyway, does this look good to anybody? Because it looks good to me. Have you guys seen the trailer?
I haven't seen the trailer, but I'm curious
I think one episode has come out, maybe two.
I think 2 now. I'm curious in a weird. I'm curious to see where this goes, since they took the title from Dan Simmons' novel and decided to continue it completely without him.
Yeah, it's really weird. They're trying to do a Channel Zero American Horror Story type thing, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think Dan gets a penny from this.
I'm sure he gets paid for the title.
I hope so.
Yeah. That said, it looks interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious. You haven't watched any of it?
No, I'm gonna wait till it's over with, and then I'll probably binge it.
Okay.
Did you guys go see Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? No,
I was driving Orlando and back yesterday.
It's been out a week or two.
Yeah, it's also the first week of school here, so
I've heard, yeah.
Still trying to get his high school diploma, so
I'm the only one who's seen Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Pete, what are you in the 28th grade now or something?
Yes.
Okay.
To be fair, I took an environmental studies class last semester, and I used one of Pete's papers to get an A on a paper by citing it. So I shouldn't insult his intelligence too much, because I relied on his intelligence to do well in school. But still, 28th grade.
Mike, what did you think of the movie?
Well, as I've mentioned before, I see very few films in the theater. I really wanted to see
even less.
Huh?
Now you're going to see even fewer.
I really wanted to see this. The monsters are very faithful to how they're drawn in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark books. There's a lot of good things to say about it, but ultimately, I think it was overhyped. Don't get me wrong. It's an enjoyable hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is, but it's not as great as I hoped it would be. Let's put it that way. Maybe I expected too much, too. I don't know. But wait for the rental, I guess, would be my advice.
You're not the only person I know who has said that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like that's kind of the general consensus. What I have heard is that the movie is not great and the visuals are fantastic.
I'd say that covers it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the plot's not horrible. There's just nothing
Would this
original
have,
there.
so I'm a little too old for this. The source material, I never read the book or anything like that. Would this have been better served as an anthology that just adapted the stories?
I, th- I'd have to agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was a
I
little
don't-
disappointed to find out that was not the case.
So I'm looking right now, and the original books came out in '81. So I know that because I know in the early '90s we were all over these books. Like you'd fight kids to check them out of the library.
Well, I was 10 years old in '81. I remember reading a couple of these books, but by the time it hit the library, I was probably 12 or 13, and I was reading adult books. So I do remember reading one or two, but that's about it. I mean, they're good books. They really are. For so. Um, Carnival Row. You guys heard about this Amazon Prime
really want to see
series?
it. I want to see it.
Say it again.
Carnival Row. ROW.
I have not heard of this.
And Orlando Bloom.
Yeah. Well, it's not out yet. I think it's coming out soon.
Labor Day.
Sorry.
Coming out Labor Day.
Okay. Um, Gizmodo has a review of Carnival Row, and the title is Carnival Row is just dull, and all the fairy fornicating in the world can't save it. So,
Well, I beg to differ.
Oh, yeah, I've seen the preview for this. Yes.
hey, I don't know. I'm intrigued by the steampunk stuff alone. So, of course, that's one person's opinion, but um, since it's not out yet, I can't give mine. It just looks really interesting. I guess if it's really beautiful and the plot's not there, then it's sort of like scary stories to tell in the dark. You know, I guess we'll see. But I saw the trailer for it a couple of weeks ago, and excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I saw the trailer for it, and it's really intriguing. You know, so I hope this guy's wrong. Um,
Mike, I'm with you. I want to see that also. I find the trailer intriguing. Pretty good cast.
I'll check that out.
um, there's a movie, I guess, coming up called Ready or Not.
Oh, why are we talking about this?
I don't know, because Bloody Disgusting gave it a great review. Why, does it look stupid? Have you seen it? Is it out yet?
I mean, she marries some guy. She's at dinner with the family, and they draw lots to play a game. They play hide and seek, except they're not playing hide and seek. They're playing hunt her and kill her. So
Yeah, which, I mean, how many versions of that have been done? But they're saying it's done really well. So, I don't know.
okay,
Anything's possible, I guess.
Is
Um,
Samara Weaving any relation to Hugo?
I don't know. Um, here's another article at Bloody Disgusting. The title, the headline is Mike Flanagan feels that The Haunting of Bly Manor is much scarier than Hill House.
Well, he lost all of my faith
Yeah.
with the last two episodes of Hill House. And the way this has been described, this show, I don't see why I should feel like he's got that it's anything. I mean, I read the description. I know what book it's based on.
Turn of the
Whatever.
screw, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, Ben. I I'm not going to rush to see Bly Manor.
Yeah, and I mean, I we've talked about it a dozen times. It's what is it like? The first 8 episodes of Hill House, or 7 episodes, whatever it is, are great. Like, there's episode 6 and 7, I think, with the death of Nell and then the funeral were awesome, even though they had nothing to do with the book in any way. But the way he just twisted that ending to be the exact opposite of the novel.
Yeah.
And look, if it had been independently good, okay, fine, whatever, it's an adaptation. But the fact that it was also terrible, and it was the exact opposite. Like, he literally takes the closing monologue from the book and makes it the opposite.
Yeah, which I saw coming a mile away, and it's like this. Okay,
Yeah.
You didn't do something clever and original here. The only interest I have in this at all is that the Henry James angle. I mean, he might screw it up horribly, and he probably will, based on The Haunting of Hill House. But I don't know. Do you disagree, Kelly? I mean,
No, I mean, here's the thing. He's a great filmmaker. I'm hopeful. But I don't feel like he did service to The Haunting of Hill House.
man, I have talked about Absentia for years,
Yeah.
and what a great movie I thought it was. I interviewed him about Absentia,
And
and
Hush was pretty good.
And
Uh-huh.
for those that don't know, Absentia is still great. Like, if you go
Yeah.
on, I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah. Or Prime, one of the yeah, you can
One
watch
of the
it.
two. But it's really a great film. It's very self-contained, brilliant ending. I loved that film. And boy,
I
was
actually like all of his films. I like
what was the one with the deaf woman?
Hush.
Hush. That was great.
I like Oculus.
Oculus was okay.
Yeah, it was
I
pretty good.
like his Ouija movie, which was like a sequel to the original. I thought that was a really cool, scary movie.
I don't know which one you're talking about there.
Ouija.
Oh.
The two.
All right.
Ouija, yeah, it was Ouija 2 or something like that. I think, and I'm looking forward to Doctor Sleep. So,
Oh, so since we just
He's
mentioned
making Doctor Sleep.
yeah.
So since you just mentioned Stephen King and we're talking about bad adaptions, I am watching. Yes.
Oh.
I am watching The Mist season 1.
Oh boy.
Oh my God, Pete!
Wow.
What is wrong with you?
Well, I there was nothing else to watch, but
You're such a liar. There's so much good stuff to watch.
Pick up a book.
You have
my point.
TV where they sell things to you.
My
Infomercial
question is like, once again, why would you pay Stephen King for the rights to make a story that has absolutely nothing to do with the original story?
What? How far have you made it into it?
The second, everybody's converging at the mall.
Oh, you're early in. So I quit
It's not
after
too late
episode
to
2.
quit, Pete.
I was like, out. No thanks.
Not too late to quit. I watched like 2 or 3 episodes past where you were.
I'm just like, why did you pay all the money to get the rights to this book and then literally not follow the book?
Yeah.
You know, I haven't seen one monster.
Also, the script is really stupid. Okay, it's just it doesn't get smarter as it goes.
He's right.
Pete, I don't want to be the one to break this to you, but there are other things that you can watch.
Well, I finished Glitch and White Spot and
Black Spot.
Black Spot, White Spot, whatever you want to call it.
Did you love Black Spot?
I watched 2 seasons of Black Spot or White Spot or whatever it's called, and I found it very, very reminiscent of Twin Peaks, very, very interesting, and in the same way, very, very frustrating because
Exactly.
nothing is explained.
Yeah, it doesn't
Just
go
like,
anywhere.
God's sakes.
I enjoyed it, and I got like 3 episodes into season 2, and I'm finally like, I'm done with this. Forget it.
Yeah, and I don't know how many times you can like kill people and they live. Wait,
you act like you've never seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
but this guy's laying in the middle of a glen that nobody else can get to, with a big piece of rebar stuck through his chest, and he's bleeding out for hours. And then the next episode, he's in the hospital, and it's like, "Oh, you're gonna get better." I'm like, no, he's dead, dude.
Any sufficiently advanced technology, and you can finish that.
Pete, you can always watch Peaky Blinders.
Okay.
All right. Well, I really like the Henry James type of story. So, I don't know. Based on Haunting of Hill House, I'll probably screw it up. But I'll segue into a book I'm reading called Adam's Fall, which is very Henry James-ish.
Okay.
I mentioned a movie called Abandon several weeks ago that has like a 23% Rotten Tomatoes score, but I really liked it. And at the very end, in the credits somewhere, it's like, I don't think it's even it's not based on it. I think it said inspired by a book called Adam's Fall. So, I ordered Adam's Fall from Amazon, and I'm 2/3 through the book, and I'm really enjoying it. So,
This is one by Desmond Shawn.
that doesn't sound right. Let me. I've got it over there. I'll just give me a second. I'll tell you.
There's some interesting book covers on Amazon with the title Adam's Fall.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Matt, get all those up on the page.
Yeah, you're right. It's by Desmond Shawn, S-E-A-N, and it looks like the only book he's ever written. It's not available in Kindle. It's only available from secondhand. You can't get it from Amazon. You can get it from other sellers. But I'm really enjoying it. So if you're into Henry James type stories, I'll throw the caveat out there that I have not finished the book yet, but I'm really enjoying it. So
Why would you suspect that it has so many bad reviews? Is it because the people don't know what they're getting into and they're not Henry James type story enthusiasts?
could be, and the other reason could be is that the ending sucks, and I haven't got there yet.
Oh, uh-oh.
But I don't think it has a bunch of bad reviews. I mean, 61% of the reviews are 5-star.
Oh, for some reason I thought you said it had a 25%.
No, Abandon has 23% Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I found out about this book.
Okay.
And Abandon has nothing to do with the plot to Adam's Fall. So, other than they're both kind of Henry James-ish in a way.
James-ish.
James-ish, yeah. James-ish.
This is harder and harder to pronounce as I drink.
I haven't had anything to drink. Anyway, check out that book. It's pretty good.
Every time you guys bring up Henry James, I chuckle a little bit, because when I was in high school, a friend of mine was in the British literature track. And he was like, "Oh, we're reading a new book by Henry James, The Taming of the Shrew."
Turn of the Shrew, you mean?
A new book by Henry James.
And he literally was arguing with me for 20 minutes that no, I was not in the track, and this was a real book. He was not confusing it with The Turn of the Screw. I'm like, dude.
Wow.
You're not going to pass a class.
Did you know that The Turn of the Screw was adapted unofficially twice on Dark Shadows?
Yes. I did know that.
I did not.
But I've also seen it adapted in many other places too.
It's also Quentin Collins is from Peter Quint.
I do enjoy that kind of story. So anyway, it's Adam's Fall, no apostrophe. Check it out. There's going to be another Penny Dreadful. Rick, have you heard about this? Penny Dreadful, City of Angels,
No.
set in 1938.
Yes, I did hear about this.
And
I'm
they-
excited.
They said that none of the original cast is expected to be in it. It's going to be like a separate.
It
Yeah.
would have to be. It's
Well, they should bring Dorian Gray back at least because he had unresolved issues.
good point.
And he would be alive in 38.
That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, no kidding.
He was one of the best immortals I've seen in literature because he plays an immortal the way it should be played, where Billy Piper's going on and on about her rebellious plans, and he is like, I've seen this all before. This is so boring. You're boring, you know, and which is the way someone who's lived a very long time would feel about most things, you know. So
Yeah.
And his portrait was somewhat different than it was in the novel. It was like a chained man or something.
Yeah, but it was. I don't know. That's one of those hidden gem series to me. Like when I watched it, it had been off the air for years, and even Josh Hartnett, he did an amazing job. I don't know. I love the way they handled Dracula in the third season.
Oh yeah.
So good. It was so good. The guy that played Frankenstein's monster, who had a name that I can't remember, also did a brilliant job.
you're absolutely right. He did have a name.
He is. I'm
Go
trying
ahead,
to
Rick.
remember his name now. He's the son of the actor. His father was a comedian. He also plays Bill Tanner. The guy who played Frankenstein Monster plays Bill Tanner in the James Bond movies. Is Daniel Craig.
Really?
The hell. All right. So Penny Dreadful, City of Angels is set in. I'm reading from JoeBlow.com. 1938 Los Angeles, a time and a place deeply infused with social and political tension, unlike today. When a grisly murder shocks the city, Detective Tiago Vega is embroiled in an epic story that reflects the rich history of Los Angeles. From the building of the city's first freeways and its deep traditions of Mexican American folklore, to the dangerous espionage actions of the Third Reich and the rise of radio evangelism. Okay? Before long, Tiago and his family are grappling with powerful forces that threaten to tear them apart. Penny Dreadful, City of Angels explores an exciting mix of the supernatural and the combustible reality of the period, creating new occult myths and moral dilemmas within a genuine historical backdrop.
I think this is the perfect way to discuss things that are going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks. I'm looking forward to it. I mean,
Yeah.
The announced cast looks pretty good, and Rory Kinnear, who played the creature, whose name we couldn't remember, he's going to be in this in a different role. It looks like.
Oh.
He's been cast. It's got Nathan Lane, Natalie Dormer.
Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane. Yeah.
Wow.
I was a young warthog.
Oh, the mighty have fallen.
Rory Kinnear's father was Roy Kinnear, who in the Beatles movie Help was the mad scientist's assistant.
Good Lord, Rick, your knowledge is insane.
We don't pay him enough.
If
I'll tell you
only
that.
he could harvest that for good.
All I know is I want to be Rick when I grow up. Like
Right.
win a, Robert E. Howard Award. It's just unbelievable. And here he is giving us facts about.
He just silently sits in and then slips in weird fiction.
I hope-
I
You were
was
like,
just lucky that this year the Dark Band, the Robert E. Howard Journal, didn't publish anything. Because I won a Best Printed category, and it was like my competition, one was in Australia, and one was an H.P. Lovecraft article published by S.T. Joshi, who is not exactly popular with Robert E. Howard fans.
Right.
So when I was looking at this, they said, they only had usually they nominate about 8 people or at least, and then you only pick the top 3 to begin with. And I looked at it and said, I gotta go. I've got an excellent chance of winning it this year.
Well, also you
Deserved
hired
it regardless.
Yeah.
Right. You hired an assassin to take care of the other 3 guys, so.
Yeah.
Honestly, Rick, have you even talked about the award on the show other than announcing that you won it?
No, we haven't talked about it.
Let's talk about it.
Talk about it.
Yeah,
I hope the listeners/viewers know how lucky they are not to have me or any of the rest of you on here, but Rick on here. So,
Okay, well, the article was
that's not
called,
sarcasm either.
the article was called Poseidon and the Gods of the Robert E. Howard Universe. And what I came to the conclusion from reading a lot of Robert E. Howard is that if everything had been published that he submitted, Poseidon would have played the Greek god of the sea would have played a major role. He actually did play a major role, but it was sort of disguised, but would have played an obvious major role in his whole mythology. Poseidon is mainly in Marches of Valhalla, where it is revealed that he sank Atlantis and Lemuria. And there's some other references to that in an incomplete novel called Isle of the Eons and some poems like King of the Sea. But it looks like Poseidon was a major figure, and there were other hints about him in What Falls Within, the Solomon Kane story. There's the staff of this cat, it's the staff of Bast, but originally it wasn't the god Bast, it was some other god who, if you read the story carefully, was a sea god and seems to be opposed to other demons in the sea. So that seems to me to be Poseidon, and it looks like he's going at war with at least Dagon, if not Cthulhu. So I think there's a Bast, and I've looked, I'm going to do other articles on Poseidon and Lovecraft and Clark Ashton Smith, and I think Poseidon is sort of an unknown player in the Cthulhu mythos.
Like Nodens.
Yes, who actually is meant to be his father.
Okay.
Because Nodens was a British sea god who was combined with Neptune or Poseidon. But when Lovecraft used him in Strange High House in the Mist, he based Nodens on Saturn, or Kronos, who is Neptune's father.
Okay.
I need to go read like 5 things now. This is
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, Nodens. Okay, I gotta go read.
That's why Nodens is described as this hoary, which means he's an ancient old man. Lovecraft based his portrayal of Nodens on Goya's portrait of Saturn eating his children, which is actually the basis for Pickman's last painting.
Wow.
If you ever see that, it's this horrible, it's this really monstrous painting of this ancient, withered, old giant biting the head off of a kid.
Absolutely, yes.
Yep. This is literally amazing. I'm taking notes right now. Sorry.
Thanks to Santiago on the message board here. We need to go back to Adam's Fall and Sean Desmond. It's not Desmond Sean, it's Sean Desmond. And it's interesting because the movie Abandon at the end, it mentions Adam's Fall. But Sean Desmond wrote Adam's Fall and a book called Abandon. And Adam's Fall's got mostly good reviews. Abandon by the same author, has some pretty terrible reviews. I liked the movie, but yeah, I didn't even know he wrote a book called Abandon, and it's not anything like the book apparently. So pick up Adam's Fall. I guess don't pick up Abandon, but do watch the movie. Don't watch the trailer to Abandon. Just watch the movie. Um, okay. Do you guys remember reading a novella or short story by Joe Hill and Stephen King called In the Tall Grass?
Yes.
Yeah, that was an interesting story.
Oh yeah,
It's that ending.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was a
But very,
disturbing story.
but very reminiscent of Canavan's Backyard by Joseph Payne Brennan.
Then I stumbled across a article at iHorror. Netflix's In the Tall Grass adaptation sets release date. So apparently they're doing a, I don't know if it's a movie or a series.
I don't know how it could be a series.
I don't know, but Patrick Wilson's going to be in it from The Conjuring.
Yeah.
There's some really disturbing scenes in that novella.
Let's just say, I mean, that painting by Goya that Rick just mentioned, you could tie that into this too. That ending.
Yeah. Well, if you're not aware of it, and I wasn't, it's going to be on Netflix sometime in the fall. It says date, but then all I see is the fall. So,
Now, is
Go ahead.
yeah.
the Conjuring the movie series about the doll?
Yeah, that's where the doll first shows up. It's like Annabelle or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, well, have you seen that? Noticed that in both Shazam and Aquaman, Annabelle makes a cameo.
seriously?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense because it's Justin Wan, and I think The Conjuring was his first big non-Fast and Furious movie.
It's in an underwater ship in Aquaman. It's in the ruins of an underwater ship in Aquaman. And in Shazam, it's in that store that in the opening of Shazam, the kid tricks the police so he can get on the computer system and trace his mother. You see a cameo of Annabelle in that one too.
I still have not seen Aquaman or Shazam. So,
I really like Shazam.
Yeah, me too. I didn't care for Aquaman, but Shazam is fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were both pretty fun. Aquaman's kind of
Stupid.
I mean, it's sort of like a paint by numbers sort of superhero film. It relies on Jason Momoa's personality. But
It's a good, typical superhero film, formula written. I'll put it that way.
yes, I would agree with that. It's I wouldn't call it stupid because I've just seen so many bad superhero films over the last 10 years. It's not in that bottom half. It's just sort of, I'd put it above like 3/4 of the Marvel films at this point. So I don't know.
Yeah. But do you remember that scene? And remember that movie with Superman where the Kryptonians are coming to terraform the planet?
I like Man of Steel, so yes.
yes.
Where are the Atlanteans?
I've heard this
That
before.
movie hadn't been made yet, Pete.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Okay.
But they're terraforming the planet. Saying you don't want to get involved with surfers.
Right.
Well,
You make
maybe
it sound
they
like they were
didn't know-
terraforming the planet for like 17 years. Like they were
Yeah, it
terraforming
was
the planet
like
for, like,
half a
20
day.
minutes. Yeah, it's. Why are you? Look, should we go back and start with Iron Man and wonder where the ancient
Yes.
one is, or
yes.
why
Absolutely.
is Spider-Man not showing up in Daredevil? I mean, like,
Well,
Yes.
we found out where the ancient one was during the Avengers.
yeah, just protecting a single house, and able to take a break from that to have a conversation with the Hulk. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. You're about 5 years early.
Yes.
Well, if that house had been nuked, Dormammu would have invaded the universe.
I rewatched Avengers Endgame the other day, and I still don't understand all the timelines. So
That's because they don't actually make sense. So
I suspected as much.
Let it go. Yeah.
It's fun, but there are holes.
You know what I really wanted to see at when Captain America time travels to take all the stones back? I wanted a shot of an old man already sitting on a bench before he left. That would have been really cool.
Right.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Why are we time traveling in a public park?
I
Well,
don't.
because Avengers HQ was destroyed. That's why.
Just saying.
You know,
They seem to be building.
live in the park.
I'm going to defend that.
listen to
The
this.
helicopter shot was a helicopter bringing something. They're building a new headquarters.
I need to tell. I would need to
You
make
guys-
the
you guys
audience.
are arguing over fine points about time travel and plot points in these movies, and the bigger question is, why are so many of them so boring? It's like, come on, it's not minor continuity details. It's like, why was Avengers so bloody long?
I'm going to go ahead and pretend that Matt didn't say anything.
Yeah.
How dare you defame Endgame?
And I want to let you guys in the audience know that Pete Rollick did not like Spider-Man Far From Home.
I didn't. I don't.
I'm with you, Pete. I don't like either of the new Spider-Man films.
I love
Yes,
both
sir.
of them.
You guys are fools.
By the way,
Kelly and I are in agreement on that.
by the way, it was announced just as we started. The Hugos were announced. Into the Spider-Verse won Best Hugo. Best long form.
Look, I loved Into the Spider-Verse. That's a different film than Far From Home.
I
Absolutely.
loved that one too.
Spider-Verse was great.
Right, but Kelly, you were drunk. That doesn't count.
I liked.
I'm always drunk, so everything I say
I liked
counts.
Spider-Man: Homecoming better than Far From Home.
I think Homecoming was
Me
a better.
too.
And I will say this about Far From Home, whether you liked it or not, that ending sure shit all over the rest of the movie. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh well,
really did.
let's get some suspense. That was going to be a surprise.
It's like if I enjoyed Spider-Man Far From Home, that would have made me not enjoy it. So,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey everybody,
Wow.
Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and by the way, he's a villain. Okay, roll credits.
But you don't then sit there and go, I need to know what happens next?
Well, okay.
I
so
don't
that's-
care because it's
That's
stupid.
That's what Mike's pissed off about. I'm pissed off about the fact that, oh yeah, we had an entire movie with Nick Fury and Spider-Man that didn't actually include Nick Fury.
Wow, spoiler for everyone who hasn't seen the fucking movie. Jesus.
If you haven't seen
Well,
the
the
fucking movie already,
I'm so sorry.
Added
I'm so sorry.
scenes. But what did you hear? They're re-releasing it. Was it the director's cut?
oh god,
Oh,
They're going to add. I think they're going to add a half hour of scenes or something.
Look, all of these movies are just the latest version of whatever they're doing in this cinematic universe, just like they did in the comic book universe. They reinvigorated things and reimagined things, and we all sat there and went, oh, what happens next? And if you liked what happened next, you said, I'll buy the next issue.
but here's the
Guess
thing:
what?
in the comic books, when they revealed Peter Parker's identity in Civil War, it actually went really bad. Not
Yes.
in story. I mean, just in comic books, people were like, "This is dumb. How do you explain this away?" Hey, why would the guy whose whole origin story is based on the idea of with great power comes great responsibility, and then knowing that he has like the Green Goblin who knew his identity and almost murdered his family 70 times, he's just going to reveal it so that now the Kingpin and everybody else knows his identity and can try to murder his family?
Right?
And it just, I mean, none of it made any sense. And then to undo it, oh, hey, we're going to make a deal with the devil and we're going to sell our marriage?
Absolutely.
And
The
here's the thing,
worst-
at least
But
in the
that's-
comic book.
What?
But they're not doing that in the movie. They're doing it originally.
Yeah, because they're not doing it in the movie because the fact that the comic books at least had like several, 50 years in our time and I don't know what it is, like
Right.
12 years in story. So people know who Spider-Man is and all this stuff exists. In the films, he was Spider-Man for like 6 months and then there was a 5-year gap and then he's Spider-Man. Like, he's like a minor hero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's a nobody.
Actually, so based on what you just said, Ben, it would be relatively easy for somebody to figure out who he was.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes. Well, I think it's a very different story. So it's not based on what they did in the comic book. They're just sort of winging it. I don't know. I mean, they'd already kind of thrown away the comic book stuff in the first film.
In comic books, secret identities never worked. I mean, look how long Arrow survived, was not getting his identity.
Well, in comic books, secret identities always work.
I know, but if you
think about
it, yeah, they always work, but they shouldn't.
They fall apart, yeah. So let me just
unbelievably
of everyone who's seen the movie, how did we feel about the ending, or how did we feel about, the ending of Far From Home?
Did it make me want to know what happens next? No, it made me not care what happens next.
Wow.
I love the ending.
I'm with Rick. I love the ending too, because I was just like, I'm so involved in this universe they've created cinematically that I trust them to give me a next chapter that I will be satisfied with.
And also, maybe I'm the only guy who grew up with Mysterio as a kid, but they did Mysterio great.
Mysterio was pretty fucking great.
Mysterio was great. I can't argue that.
I had so many callbacks to stories I read when Mysterio pretended to be a giant and other things in that first battle. It doesn't get better than that for a Spider-Man thing.
I'll find the image and I'll post it to the Facebook group later. But there's a great. There used to be this thing about 15 years ago called Twisted Toy Fair Theater, where this magazine would take Mego action figures and tell stories. They later went on to create Robot Chicken, to give you an idea of the kind of humor. It's also the kind of humor that they could never, ever get away with right now. And one of my favorite moments is they were joking about Mysterio. So it's like all the villains are sitting around playing poker or something, and Mysterio appears to be asleep. So Electro comes over and draws on his face, and then Mysterio goes, aha, and there's like a shimmering effect. And he's like, now you've actually drawn on your own face. And that's just, Mysterio is completely inconsistent in the comic book. So it's possible he's great. And then like the next story, he's written like a complete bumbling idiot. That's like a low tier Spider-Man villain. It's just, I appreciate what the film did with him. My problem was the majority of the film is not,
good.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I love that you bring back J.K. Simmons. I think that's brilliant.
That was great.
He's been like, he's what everyone thinks of when they think of J. Jonah Jameson. He's perfect. It's just, I don't know. I mean, it's
okay. So you're on the no camp for this ending. Okay.
I'm on the hell.
Well, but I was on, I'll put it this way. I don't even care about the ending because I'm on the no camp about the film in the first place.
Wow. And then Pete, you seen it and didn't like the ending?
Well, there was the whole European vacation thing was stupid.
It was something different. You got to do Spider-Man differently.
He's also a high school kid.
Pete's got a point. There was nothing that happened in Europe that couldn't have happened in New York.
Well, it's nice to get out of New York once in a while.
Look, Mike, it all happened.
There's so many freaking Marvel superheroes in New York. Everybody's in New York. Let's go to Europe once in a while.
Anyway.
Yeah, I gotta say the Marvel universe, New York's covered. I mean, there should be no crime whatsoever in New York City.
Just like there should be no crime in Gotham.
Okay, so Pete, you're a no.
I did not enjoy the film.
If you want a New York series, watch the Netflix series that got canceled. They were all in New York.
Yes, and I watched all those.
But that even creates a bigger problem. Like Spider-Man's the local hero of Queens. And then but he can't find any crime because of all this Avengers stuff going on in Homecoming. Like, what's going on with... And it's just... Nothing actually connects like they say it does. Put it that way. Why is Luke Cage never mentioned, even though he's like this massive star getting sports deals and all this stuff going on in season 2? Why is... It's just, this is what I don't like about the cinematic universe. There's no consistency to any of this stuff anymore.
You want stuff that's minor being mentioned in major storylines. In your life, how often does Shaq play out?
Luke Cage is not minor in.
I'm just saying, in your life, Shaquille O'Neal is a major part of your news feed.
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Says hilarious
I see
things on
Shaq
ESPN.
like 12 times a day.
Yeah,
He's the general.
You had a worse problem when the comics were originally being written, because I used to wonder. They would have these crime waves where like Sandman's on the loose.
Yes.
Why isn't Daredevil fighting him? What is so many Spider-Man doing?
Yeah. So like, okay, here's my big one. This is right along here, like the McCran Crystal, right? The whole plot of a serious, plot of the X-Men series. Why involve the X-Men? There are galactic powers that should be taking care of this shit, right? The whole universe is going to explode. Let's call the X-Men. No.
I want to hear now from Matthew, who I know has watched all of these movies at least twice.
Okay, I'm watching a really great Lovecraftian show right now from the Hallmark Channel called Good Witch.
This fits into Luke Cage and Far From Home. How?
The same way they all fit in together. Who gives a fuck? You enjoy the movie or you don't. I mean, it's like they interviewed. Did you ever see The Kids Are All Right? This is a documentary about The Who, put together by a fan. And it's really one of the best rock and roll movies ever.
Which band?
They interview Roger Daltrey, and Roger Daltrey is saying, come on, it's rock and roll. It can't stand up to all that inspecting and detecting. So shut up. And that's how I view this.
I'll end this.
No, I got one more thing I want to bring up real quick. No, it's not. All right. So there's a Lovecraftian author, a minor Lovecraftian author, and not so minor. I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Joseph Payne Brennan. He wrote Canavan's Backyard. He did publish some Arkham House books. Dover Books has re-released 2 of his titles of collection of short stories, 9 Horrors and a Dream and The Shapes of Midnight. And these have been out of print for a long, long time. So if you've been looking for these stories, or Joseph Payne Brennan, he's a great writer, or he was. He's sadly passed away. These are available for like $9.95 and $12.95.
I like Brennan, but I always view him as more of a craftsman than a innovator.
Yes.
Were his stories about Mysterio, or how does this interact with?
So I mentioned, to me, In the Tall Grass is very similar to one of his other stories, In Canavan's Backyard, or In Canavan's Yard. So
he writes very traditional horror stories. They're very well done, but rarely does he have something that grabs you. Let's say like Ray Bradbury or a Stephen King story.
Yeah,
it's interesting watching the live chat. Benjamin, a person by the name of Benjamin Handelman, writes in the live chat, "The aspect of the show that I love is Kelly being wrong."
Which Kelly is he talking about?
I can only guess.
Okay.
Kelly's been right more than wrong on this show, as far as I'm concerned.
And Nathan,
Rick, I'm hurt deeply. I'm hurt.
And Nathan once more hits the nail right between the eyes. And Mike trying to herd cats.
Nathan.
You like my mixed metaphors? The guy at the email at the beginning of the show. Don't you pay attention?
I'm looking at the time on the show, and I'm like, Mike is just trying to wind this up as quickly as he can. And Pete goes in, another thing about such and such.
I'm like, shit. Well, anyway.
Look, this is the most human contact I've had all weekend, okay?
To be continued.
We are now on Spotify, if I didn't mention this last time.
Sweet. I cannot listen to us on Spotify?
Huh? What?
All right.
You can listen to us on Spotify now, and if you would do me a favor and hit the follow button, that would be nice, on Spotify. And I don't think you can leave reviews on Spotify, can you? That's just iTunes. I don't know. On iTunes, if you could leave an honest 5-star review, that helps the show as well. So, yeah, we're on Spotify now. Right?
I'm looking this up.
Yeah. Anything else before we wrap up? Next weekend's Necronomicon. I think we're still going to have a show. So, for those of you who are not at Necronomicon. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Matt, thanks for the riveting insights into the superhero genre.
Thank you, Matt.
Anytime. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, there's a prize. Remember, there's a prize.
Right.
That,
There's a prize.
Delta Green book, Extraordinary Renditions. So send an email to ezineprizes@gmail.com and put Delta Green in the subject heading. I will pick a winner probably the day after Necronomicon is over.
All right. If you're going to Necronomicon, everyone, I hope you have a great time. I'm sorry I can't make it this year, but Ben, you're really going to enjoy it, man. So.
Well, I know the Kelly's not going to be there, so
That's true.
You enjoy it just a tad less.
And the two.
And Pete's buying everyone's drinks. Anyone that comes up to him, Pete said he'll buy drinks and food. Do I have that correct?
That's exactly what he
That
said.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'll have water and chips.
Water and still saltines. So
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, Ben, you and Pete and Matt can tell us what you thought of Necronomicon, highlights and all that. So I'll be interested to hear about that.
No one warned Victor Lavelle I'm looking for him because I just found out he's a guest of honor, and so I'm going to be hunting all over Providence to look for him and talk to him.
Yeah, I've got to get some stuff signed too.
Yeah, he's the greatest horror fiction writer
So,
of our generation. No offense. Offense to all of you.
Everyone on the panel.
Yeah, Victor's just better than you guys.
I'll tell you what I thought
I
of
thought you said
Necronomicon.
Joe
I'll tell you what I thought of Ben and Pete.
I thought you told me Joe Pulver was, Ben.
No, well, I'm sorry, Joe. Even though hopefully you never hear this.
Oh,
And-
Kat is listening to it.
Kat, don't tell him I said that. But Victor Lavelle wrote my favorite. I mean, I've read the book like 4 times now. It's short. It's a novella. Everyone go buy The Ballad of Black Tom.
It's a brilliant book.
It's so good. It's so good. I don't know. I still hope that we can get him on here someday. And I literally wrote like a 10-page essay on this book. It's crazy. I really loved it. It's so brilliant.
Was this for a class or just in your spare time?
It was for class technically, but it's
We
again, if
should
anyone,
we should publish it on the Lovecraft eZine blog.
yeah, I can touch it up and send it to you. It's,
Yeah, I think
it's
there'd
on
be
that
plenty of people would be interested in reading that.
Yeah.
on that and Matt
Yeah.
Ruff's Lovecraft Country, which I think isn't there an HBO series coming out soon?
Yeah, but
That is true.
The
Yes.
Ballad of Black Tom is a much, much stronger work.
Oh, it's not even close. And again, I'd say no offense, but I mean I'm dead serious. I really think Victor Lavelle is. I don't know.
Yeah, Ben, I think plenty of people would be interested in reading that. If you don't mind me publishing it on the blog, I'd love to do it. So,
Yeah, I'll clean it up and send it over. It's so I'm gonna. He's the after I meet up with Pete and Matt, then I'm gonna start hunting for him all over Providence because I don't know. And also we need to get him on the show, and I will bug him about that as well.
Yeah, well, I'll email Victor the link when we have it up. I'm sure he'll love to read it too.
Yeah,
So.
so good.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Ben, once again, thank you for all the technical know-how and keeping the show in the air. Appreciate it. And everyone, thanks for listening. Follow us on Spotify, Patreon. If you can afford $5 a month, it helps a lot. Just Google Lovecraft eZine Patreon. And as always, 5-star, honest 5-star reviews on iTunes. So you don't think we deserve a 5-star review, Kelly?
I think we do. I'm just saying, asking for a 5-star review instead of just saying, "Hey, give us your 1 to 5-star review."
It's a joke. I said
I,
honest 5-star review.
I got it. I got it. There's a lot of people saying, "Hey, it'd be great if you'd give us a 5-star review," and I automatically send a 1-star review to those podcasts.
I am not saying that.
So
Even when I don't listen to them, I'm like,
But
1
Kelly-
star.
Kelly
These
is.
guys asked for 5-star. Fuck
So-
them.
Mike, what Kelly's doing right now is he's admitting that last 1-star review you got, you
That
know
was
where
for me.
It's true.
That was for me.
Wow.
And it was like that one that I wrote. Benjamin Handelman is a first-class ass. That was for me.
I thought it was good humor. I thought it was a good joke, saying
This is
honest
not- this is a
5-star
topic-
review.
Pete, you might like this. This is a topic for a future podcast. We can spend 5 minutes on famous sock puppets in Lovecraftian history. And I'm thinking Teen Anthem.
Kelly,
Wait, who?
Cody
The
Goodfellow.
woman who wrote Other Nations.
Oh yeah. They're in Florida someplace.
At the last NecronomiCON, Cody Goodfellow looks at me and goes, "How in the hell you have 230,000 followers?" And I said, I assume that 229,000 are Cody Goodfellow's sock puppets. I mean, what else am I supposed to think? So, yes, no, I'm not being serious, Kelly, about the 5-star review. Certainly, if
No,
you enjoy the show,
I have
yes.
sent so many 5-star reviews in that I can't
I appreciate
say
that.
anything bad about that.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. And we will see you next week. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening.